Welcome back to Liberty Coin History, where every old American coin has a story, and sometimes the smallest piece of change can lead you into a fascinating chapter of American history. Today, we are looking at a very interesting United States quarter connected to the state of New Hampshire, the famous phrase, "live free or die," and one of America's most recognizable natural landmarks, the Old Man of the Mountain. If you have a New Hampshire quarter sitting in a drawer, coin jar, collection, or even mixed into your everyday change, don't ignore it just because it looks ordinary. The date, mint mark, condition, errors, varieties, and overall collector demand can all influence what a coin may be worth. So stay with us because in this video, we are going to take a closer look at the first coin in our top 2 coins lineup and discover why this particular quarter is historically fascinating and what collectors should examine before deciding whether it is just a common circulated coin or something more interesting. Our first coin is the New Hampshire State Quarter dated 2000, representing the state that proudly carries the motto, "Live free or die." The design features the legendary Old Man of the Mountain, a dramatic rock formation that once stood high above Franconia Notch and became one of New Hampshire's most famous symbols. The quarter was part of the United States Mint's 50 State Quarters program, a massive coin program that introduced a different state design during the years 1999 through 2008. New Hampshire's quarter became especially memorable because its reverse design combined natural beauty, state identity, and an important American motto into a single small coin. On a circulated example, the details can become worn, scratched, dirty, or difficult to see, but that does not make the coin uninteresting. In fact, for collectors, examining a worn coin carefully can sometimes reveal details that are easy to miss at first glance. The Old Man of the Mountain was not simply a random mountain shape chosen for the quarter. It was a famous geological formation made up of a series of granite ledges that, when viewed from the correct direction, appeared to resemble the profile of an elderly man looking toward the sky. For generations, this formation became one of New Hampshire's most recognizable symbols. Tourists traveled to Franconia not specifically to see the unusual natural feature. Photographs were taken, postcards were produced, and the image became deeply connected with the identity of the state. Sadly, the Old Man of the Mountain collapsed in 2003, several years after the quarter bearing its image entered circulation. That makes the 2000 New Hampshire quarter particularly interesting from a historical perspective, because the coin preserves an image of the landmark exactly as it was known before its collections. Another major detail on this quarter is the famous New Hampshire motto, "Live free or die." These words have a powerful place in the state's history and are closely associated with General John Stark, a Revolutionary War hero from New Hampshire. The motto represents ideas of independence, courage, and personal liberty, and it gives this quarter a stronger historical identity than a simple denomination might suggest. When you hold the coin in your hand, you are not merely holding 25 cents. You are holding a small piece of a larger American story involving the Revolutionary era, New Hampshire identity, American freedom, and one of the country's most unusual natural landmarks. That combination is one reason state quarters became so popular with collectors, families, children, and people who had never considered themselves coin collectors before. Now comes the question everyone wants answered. Could a 2000 New Hampshire quarter actually be valuable? The answer requires some caution. Most ordinary circulated examples are generally common and are not automatically worth hundreds, thousands, or millions of dollars simply because they are old or have a famous design. However, collectors look closely for unusual characteristics. The mint mark is one of the first things to inspect. Depending on the example, you may encounter a P mint mark from Philadelphia or a D mint mark from Denver, while special collector versions were also produced. Condition is another major factor. A heavily circulated quarter with scratches, stains, dirt, and flattened details usually has much less collector value than a sharply struck coin preserved in excellent condition. This is why two coins with exactly the same date can have very different market values. If you discover a 2000 New Hampshire quarter, do not immediately clean it. This is extremely important for anyone beginning to collect coins. Cleaning can leave scratches, remove the original surface, or create an unnatural appearance that may actually reduce collector appeal. Instead, hold the coin under good lighting and examine both sides carefully. Look at the portrait of George Washington on the obverse and then inspect the New Hampshire reverse. Check the lettering, the date, the mint mark, the stars, the central design, and the edges. Look for unusual doubling, missing details, strange shapes, off-center striking, unusual die characteristics, or other signs that the coin may have experienced a minting error. Not every unusual-looking coin is a valuable error, but genuine mint errors can attract significant collector interest depending on their type, visibility, rarity, and condition. Mint errors are one of the most exciting areas of modern coin collecting because they can turn an ordinary-looking coin into something much more unusual. During the minting process, enormous quantities of coins are produced, and occasionally something can go wrong with a die, planchet, striking process, alignment, or other part of production. Collectors may become interested in coins showing genuine and recognizable errors. But there is an important warning here. Damage that happens after a coin leaves the United States Mint is not the same as a mint error. A bent coin, scratched coin, chemically altered coin, or coin damaged by machinery might look unusual but may not carry additional value. That is why serious collectors compare suspicious coins with trusted references, and for potentially important pieces, may seek professional authentication or grading. When examining your New Hampshire quarter, take a close look at the area near the lower portion of the obverse design where the mint mark appears. A P indicates Philadelphia, while a D indicates Denver. The United States Mint produced enormous numbers of state quarters, so the presence of a normal P or D mint mark by itself does not make the coin rare. What matters is the complete combination of date, mint, condition, strike quality, variety, and any legitimate error. This is a critical point because internet videos and social media posts sometimes make ordinary coins sound incredibly rare. At Liberty Coin History, we want you to enjoy the excitement of searching your change while also understanding that genuine rarity must be supported by evidence. A coin does not become a fortune simply because someone online assigns it an enormous price. And now, let's talk about the kind of coin that often catches people's attention: the dirty, worn New Hampshire quarter. Maybe your coin has dark marks, surface grime, scratches, or years of circulation. At first glance, you might think it has no chance of being collectible. But remember, the condition alone does not tell the entire story. The first thing you should do is identify exactly what you have. Confirm the year, check the mint mark, examine the reverse design, and inspect the coin for anything genuinely unusual. If the coin appears ordinary and heavily circulated, its value may simply be close to its face value. But if it contains a legitimate mint error or an unusually scarce characteristic, then the situation can be completely different. The lesson is simple: inspect first, research second, and only then decide what you have. One of the greatest things about collecting state quarters is that you do not need to own an ancient gold coin to hold something historically meaningful. The New Hampshire quarter connects a modern American coin to a landmark that no longer exists in its original form. The old man of the mountain disappeared from the landscape in 2003, but its image remains preserved on coins, photographs, books, and memories. Imagine finding one of these quarters years from now and realizing that the coin carries an image of a natural formation that future generations can no longer see in person. That historical connection is part of what makes coin collecting so enjoyable. A coin can be valuable financially, but it can also be valuable because of the story it tells, the memories it creates, and the history it preserves. So if you find a 2000 New Hampshire quarter in your pocket change, should you spend it immediately? Our advice is to look at it first. Check the date. Check the mint mark. Examine the surfaces. Look closely at the lettering and design. Compare the coin with reliable references for known varieties and errors. If the coin looks unusually sharp or appears to contain a significant minting error, consider having it evaluated by a reputable coin dealer or professional grading service. And remember, a coin's actual market value depends heavily on its condition and the price collectors are willing to pay at a particular time. Auction records can show what exceptional examples have sold for, but those prices should not be assumed to apply to every ordinary circulated coin. So there you have it, the 2000 New Hampshire State Quarter, featuring the unforgettable old man of the mountain and the powerful words, "Live free or die." It may look like an ordinary quarter, especially if your example is dirty or heavily circulated, but behind that small piece of metal is an incredible American story. The landmark shown on the coin has disappeared from the mountain, making the quarter an enduring reminder of something that once defined New Hampshire's landscape. And while most examples are not automatically worth huge amounts of money, every collector should learn to recognize condition, mint marks, varieties, and genuine errors before dismissing a coin. If you enjoyed this first discovery, stay with Liberty Coin History, because our second coin may have another fascinating story waiting to be uncovered. And remember, the next interesting coin might already be sitting in your pocket, your change jar, or an old collection at home. Like this video, share it with another coin hunter, subscribe to Liberty Coin History, and turn on notifications. Because you never know when an ordinary-looking coin could become your next exciting discovery. Now we come to the second coin in today's top 2 coins, and this one takes us from the historic mountains of New Hampshire to one of the most beautiful scenic routes in the United States, the 2015 Blue Ridge Parkway Quarter. This quarter was released as part of the America the Beautiful Quarters program, which honored national parks and other significant national sites across the United States. The Blue Ridge Parkway stretches through breathtaking mountain landscapes and connects some of the most beautiful scenery in the eastern United States. When you look at this quarter, you are not simply looking at another 25-cent piece. You are looking at a miniature piece of American landscape history, and for collectors, that makes this coin worth examining carefully. The Blue Ridge Parkway Quarter carries a fascinating reverse design showing the famous roadway winding through the mountainous landscape. The design captures the feeling of traveling through the Blue Ridge Mountains, where roads curve through forests, valleys, and high elevations. Above the scene is the inscription, Blue Ridge Parkway, while the denomination and other inscriptions identify it as a United States quarter dollar. The obverse features the familiar portrait of George Washington, making it instantly recognizable as an American quarter. Because millions of these coins entered circulation, finding one does not automatically mean you have a rare fortune. But that does not mean you should ignore it. The real excitement begins when you examine the date, mint mark, condition, strike, and possible errors. The year 2015 is especially interesting because the America the Beautiful Quarters program continued introducing designs connected to important American locations. The Blue Ridge Parkway was selected as a national site worthy of recognition because of its spectacular scenery and cultural importance. For collectors, these quarters created an opportunity to build an entire collection based not only on dates and mint marks, but also on America's national parks and landmarks. A collector could hold a complete series and essentially create a miniature history of America's most famous places. That is one of the reasons modern commemorative-style circulating coins remain popular with families and beginning collectors. Now let's get to the question that brought many people to this video. Can a 2015 Blue Ridge Parkway Quarter be worth more than 25 cents? In most cases, an ordinary circulated example will not be worth an enormous amount simply because it is from 2015. However, certain characteristics can make individual coins more interesting to collectors. Condition is one of the biggest factors. A heavily worn coin that has spent years in circulation can have scratches, discoloration, dents, and flattened details. On the other hand, a coin with strong details, attractive surfaces, and very little circulation wear can be considerably more desirable. Coins preserved in exceptional condition can bring stronger prices than ordinary pocket change examples, especially when certified by a respected grading service. And then there is the exciting world of mint errors and varieties. If you find a Blue Ridge Parkway Quarter that looks different from normal examples, don't immediately assume it is rare. But don't throw it back into your change either. Carefully examine the lettering, Washington's portrait, the reverse design, the rim, and the edge. Look for unusual doubling, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, striking problems, or other characteristics that may indicate a genuine mint error. Remember, however, that damage caused after the coin left the mint is not considered a mint error. A coin that has been scratched, crushed, heated, chemically altered, or damaged by machines can look spectacularly unusual while having little or no additional collector value. The mint mark is another important detail. Depending on the issue, you may encounter a P or D mint mark, representing Philadelphia or Denver production. Collector versions may also exist, but a normal mint mark alone does not make a 2015 Blue Ridge Parkway Quarter rare. The important thing is the complete picture. You want to identify the exact issue, production source, condition, and any legitimate variety or error. This is where patience becomes one of the most valuable tools in coin collecting. Instead of looking at a quarter for 2 seconds and deciding it is worthless, take your time and inspect it under good lighting. One of the biggest mistakes new collectors make is cleaning a potentially collectible coin. If your Blue Ridge Parkway Quarter is dirty, resist the temptation to polish it until it shines. Cleaning can leave scratches and alter the original surface, potentially reducing its desirability to collectors. Simply handle the coin carefully by its edges and use appropriate storage methods. If you believe you have discovered something unusual, photograph it, compare it with trustworthy references, and consider professional evaluation. Sometimes the most exciting discoveries are not the shiny coins, but the ordinary-looking pieces that reveal something unusual when examined closely. There is also something special about the history behind this quarter. The Blue Ridge Parkway is more than a road. It is a scenic route designed to showcase the natural beauty of the Appalachian Highlands. Travelers encounter mountain views, forests, overlooks, wildlife, and historic locations along the way. By placing this landscape on a circulating quarter, the United States Mint gave millions of Americans the opportunity to carry a tiny reminder of that scenery in their pockets. Every time you see the reverse of this coin, you can imagine the winding road disappearing into the mountains. Now imagine finding this coin in an old collection years from now. Maybe it has been sitting in a jar with other quarters, forgotten in a drawer, or passed from one family member to another. Even if it turns out to be a normal circulated coin worth little above face value, it still has a story. But if you discover an unusual mint error, exceptional condition, or another recognized collectible characteristic, then that little quarter could become much more interesting. This is exactly why coin hunting is so addictive. You never know what you will discover until you actually look. So before you spend your 2015 Blue Ridge Parkway Quarter, turn it over and inspect it. Look at the mountain scene. Check the lettering. Examine the rim. Find the mint mark. Look for signs of unusual striking. Compare it with known examples, and most importantly, don't believe every unbelievable value claim you see online. A coin's value must be supported by genuine rarity, condition, market demand, and when necessary, professional authentication. The goal is not simply to find a coin that someone claims is worth thousands of dollars. The goal is to learn how to identify what you actually have. And that brings us to the end of today's top 2 coins journey here on Liberty Coin History. Our first coin took us to New Hampshire and the unforgettable Old Man of the Mountain, while our second coin brought us along the spectacular Blue Ridge Parkway. Both quarters demonstrate why modern American coins can be fascinating even when they are still relatively recent. They preserve images of places, landscapes, and stories that are part of America's identity. And remember, while most circulated examples of these coins are common, unusual errors, exceptional condition, and recognized varieties can make individual pieces more desirable. So check your change, inspect those old coin jars, and never stop learning. Like this video, share it with your fellow coin hunters, subscribe to Liberty Coin History, and turn on the notification bell, because the next coin you discover could be hiding an amazing story.